I've got where you've eaten a meal and you're like, damn, I didn't use the right condiment. This could have been so much better. I'll have to start again.
We missed all the good ones.
Reboot.
Just restart the script.
Where was I? Oh, yes.
From the top.
Good morning, Daddy. How are you?
I am fine today.
Oh, I am fine too. I will drink my coffee.
Oh, no. You missed the line.
It feels like the end of the year. Trying not to check out, trying to stay engaged and motivated. We have our end of year thingo today. General meeting, all staff meeting in the morning, and then we're going out for lunch together. Going to the pub, play darts, drink beer for the afternoon. And then I'm supposed to be speaking tonight at a community film screening. So I need to stay sober enough to present well to local community and council members this afternoon.
Right.
So a fun day ahead.
Should do that.
How are you?
Yeah. Good. I didn't oversleep today necessarily. I just spaced out what time I was supposed to be at work and talk to you. So I looked down, my phone or my watch or something alerted me. It was like 10 till. It's like, talk to Jim. And I was like, oh, what? I'm still at my house. What am I doing?
How far from the shop do you live?
It's about 20 minutes, maybe, depending on the traffic.
Yeah.
Not too bad.
Not bad. Cool.
Usually I'm here earlier, and usually I'm aware what day it is.
What's been happening?
Whew. Got the second bamboo set up at home. Started printing some stuff last night. It was kind of fun.
Cool.
Watching it while I was like scrolling models on my phone while holding a baby that wouldn't go to sleep.
Yeah.
And I actually tried that thing. I don't know if you tried this yet. The Bamboo Handy app where you can basically slice a file on the phone or on the server or something and then send it straight to the printer. I think we talked about it. I hadn't really tried it, but I found one little weird piece because it's funny how many things we've like added to the printer or like modified. So I was like looking through those things and I was like, oh, this little piece that takes 13 minutes. What was crazy about it is the person was smart and had profiles set up so that you could download PLA, PETG, probably ASA, something. But then the thing that always kind of seems to be missing in other places is if you're setting it up for like a textured plate versus the smooth plate, like there's all those settings that get lost. And it re-sliced it somewhere in the server backend for the plate that I wanted to use. I could also add more parts on my phone and then just send it straight to the printer. It was like, you could change the filament, you could change the profiles, you could tell it to use your profiles versus Bamboo standard ones. It was crazy. Like, pretty impressive. So amazing just for like a phone app thing.
Yeah, it's amazing. I haven't played with it. I did go looking for something the other day. I can't remember what it was. I think I wanted to print a Frisbee. It's like, oh, there'll be a Frisbee on this thing for sure. And the one I found didn't have any of the preset, like it wasn't print ready. It needed me to go to the laptop and fiddle with it.
Right. And then you're like, oh my God, what is this? This is archaic, you know? Like
too hard.
It's my reaction.
Yeah, awesome. Good.
Yeah. How about you?
What's happening? I don't know. Stuff. It's been it's been a lot going on in sort of business owner land. Problems to solve, things to do.
Right.
But been having a great time in Rhino. I've got that thing. I don't know if you ever do this, but I'm a big fan of condiments with my food. Like every meal, I'll be like, "Where's the mayo? Where's the chili sauce? How many chili sauces do I have available?" And I've gone through phases in my life where every meal I've eaten just tastes like sriracha and Kewpie mayonnaise because that's like what I was putting on everything. Anyway, I get to that because I've had this thing happen with Rhino where I've got condiment regret, where you've eaten a meal and you're like, damn, I didn't use the right condiment. This could have been so much better. I'll have to start again. And I'm having the same experience with Rhino now, where I'm like, why the hell didn't I learn about blocks 10 years ago? I could have saved myself years of work if I'd known what blocks were and how to use them effectively. And I'm just getting into it.
It's almost like learning components in Fusion or something, but less powerful.
Yep.
Or more powerful.
More powerful. So
you kind of brought up a new use case to me about like the counting, the statistical analysis stuff with being able to count pieces. But really, honestly, I think I use blocks in their conventional sense more when I used SketchUp a really long time ago.
Yeah, right.
And I just like didn't use them. For some reason, they annoyed me and felt wonky in my architectural Rhino days. But what's your new thoughts about them? Or is there anything different?
Look, I just had a bit of a moment the other day because some of the frustrations over the last week have been to do with a lack of checklists and a lack of sort of checking jobs before they go out the door. So I was delivering some work end of last week because I was going to Melbourne. I was like, cool, I can take both of those jobs with me to Melbourne. And then it turned out neither of those jobs were sort of checked or finished and ready to go out the door. And in an effort to try and address the
How'd that happen?
cause and find a solution rather than just a patch, like, right, okay, what needs to change here? All right, okay, we need better checklists, or every job needs a checklist. And I was kind of swore to myself as I was driving to the city. I was like, cool, these are the last 2 jobs to leave our workshop without a checklist. And I was like chatting to GPT as I was driving. I was like, please draft a checklist for this purpose and blah, blah, blah. So I had all this material.
You mean therapist?
GPT. Anyway, I was like, how did I get to this? Anyway,
that's what I use it for.
I built some checklists over the weekend, rolled them out immediately on Monday morning as a new thing. But then I was thinking about, cool, how can I improve the CAD side of this to make sure we've got all the parts and that the checklist captures, the parts list actually captures everything that needs. I was like, well, I'm already counting like basic shelves and dowels in Rhino using block instance counting. How can I take that further?
Yeah.
I was like, it looks like, I don't think you can have blocks within blocks, but I can have blocks within groups. And so I've just started adding groups into that configurator with like hinge plates and hinges and drawer runners and all the sort of sub-components like down to a hardware level, so that when it does its spit out, when I write my KP shortcut and it runs a bit of Python script that counts visible blocks in the model and spits out a parts list straight to the clipboard, and I can copy and paste that off to Airtable. So that's working really well and building more and more into that, so it captures like a more granular level of part count. So that's rad. But then as I was doing that, I was like, oh, well, you could have like just invisible blocks in here as well, which are like labor allocation with values attached to them. And you could almost use it as like a quoting tool where like every block that you pick from the template is like, wouldn't even have to be physical things. It could be like just a little text box and you're like, that, I'm going to grab that, include it in this model, and that will include a labor allocation for that bit of hardware or whatever it is, and then have scripts that are auto counting up all that labor. Anyway, I haven't done anything like that, but I feel like it's pretty fun, deep rabbit hole to be explored.
Right. Very cool. Yeah. Interesting. And in contrast, I remember having to ask, and I think it's now happened in some sense, but well, in Rhino, you can just drag a box and see what's all selected. It just tells you instantly. And I was like begging Fusion at one point. I was like, hey guys, like, how do we know how many things are here? Like how many, you don't nest more than 100 pieces, but it's like, I don't know. How do you count them? Like you have to count them yourself. Like, it's mildly better, I think now, but it's kind of a one-piece flow software, I feel like, still. But that's really cool. I feel like some of those things are amazing, how not to dig too deep into it, but it's like, how do you turn that into something that everybody can use and understand? Simply, I guess you'd have like a maybe a text box when you open it up that tells you what happens. A piece of text on the XY plane
for other stuff, like instructional.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what I've done with that Rhino configurator in the past. It's just had some basic instructions in a text box of like, this is how you drive it. This is what you do.
Sure. Right.
Yeah. So that's fun. I'm using the new Rhino 8 that forced me to upgrade because I've been using the work in progress version of Rhino 7 or 8 or whatever it was for a while now. The one that ran heaps better on Apple Silicon. Like heaps better.
Right.
And then that expired.
Yeah,
the other
you
day,
said that, and I've been curious.
That forced me to upgrade to Rhino 8, which I did. And slightly.
Does it feel more like how Windows always felt?
Yeah, speed-wise.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. That's why I was using the work in progress, because it felt like Windows in terms of speed.
Interesting. It's the only thing I was jealous of Windows for.
I know, right? The only thing. So yeah, it does. It's actually, anecdotally, it's maybe not quite as fast as the work in progress version. Like microseconds slower, but
it's throttled.
I'm slightly throttled. But anyway, like all of this, I don't know. I've been so kind of obsessed with Rhino again lately, as you can probably tell. And it's made me ponder whether what place Fusion has, what are the important things that Fusion have for us, because as we refine the jobs we're doing, we're getting tighter and tighter and tighter on the type of jobs we quote and accept. Some of the Fusion functionality is becoming less and less relevant as part of that. And other than machining, I fucking love Fusion Cam.
Right.
And the machining side of it. But
I haven't used, other than VCarve, I haven't used anything other than Fusion Cam since I went to university, a decade ago. Every once in a while. Mostly, I'm supporting some customer situation that uses only VCarve, and they're like, how can I cut your model in this? And I'm like, hold on, let me Google. I don't know how to use this software. But I was just going to say the thing that's so alluring about Rhino, and I have 2 licenses of 7, and I upgraded from 4, and they made that so inexpensive. I think it was $500 to get 2 licenses between 4 and 7. Yep. And 4 was because I bought it in university and used it that long. It was that good. They're perpetual licenses. And I think right now my cost to upgrade is $395 a license. So it's $800. So that's a bit of money. I don't, want to spend that right now. I don't have a lot of needs for Rhino, but it's also have I ever regretted having Rhino? No. And it feels cheap. How many years of Fusion is that, comparatively?
Yeah. Yeah, it's very affordable, which is why we ended up with it as a young business. It was I learned SolidWorks at uni, was obsessed with SolidWorks, hated Rhino, and then got out of school and was like, oh, I can't afford SolidWorks. What else? I guess I'll persist with this Rhino rubbish. And then, here we are.
I think one of the big mistakes of the one cam software that I don't think is made by them, Rhino Cam, right? Mexsoft Corporation. They have one of the most complicated set of options to buy, if I'm remembering right. Maybe this is Rhino Nest. I feel like there's 9 versions that you can buy. And I always go to this page and I'm considering it. And I'm like, oh no, I don't have time to look through these. There's just so many. What is this?
I just find myself looking at the Rhino Cam demo videos. And I'm like, oh, this looks so outdated compared to what I'm now used to in Fusion. Just I don't want to go back 10 years plus 15 years in tech.
Right.
And maybe that's unfair. I've never used it.
Right. on this compare page, it says you need Rhino 5 or 6 for Rhino Cam, and the price range in the comparison literally says $595 to $10,000. And
sweet. I'll take
what? We will sell you anything.
Yeah. Yeah. Bit of friction there.
Oh yeah, there is 7 versions actually right now.
Wow. Okay.
So, anyway, that's kind of where I get stopped, where it's like we have an amazing deal, or I jumped on a grandfathered deal with Fusion when they were switching licensing 5 years ago, where it was like which I don't know the right phrase now. I'm not supposed to use grandfathered anymore. We were given a deal. No, it's literally, I just saw a TikTok on this. That's like a slave trade phrase, and I didn't have any idea.
There you go.
Yeah. We were given that an opportunity to buy it at a deal where it was like licensed indefinitely for like $300 a year for a license. And I was like, this is definitely going to get more costly. So I bought 2 of those.
Nice. I've got one of them.
Yeah, it's so cheap. It's hard to move away from, but I'll probably get the Rhino upgrade.
Yeah. The taunt of Windows performance, Justin. You know you want it. Come back to the dark side. My message tone is the Windows 95 boot up sound. It's very nostalgic. If you send me a message now, you'll hear it.
Can't wait to do that. Let's see how long it takes to get across the ocean.
It came through immediately, but it went straight to my laptop. Apologies, listeners.
Sometimes I turn on the sounds and I know we're going to get orders on Shopify because I love to hear the little cash register noise on my phone. And then it'll go through to my watch and it's silenced. And I'm like, no, I wanted to hear it. Oh, it's so long. Holy crap. That's amazing.
What else is happening?
What else?
We found some new plywood, which I don't know if you know about this, but our material rep turned up the other day. I feel like this has, been the longest topic we've chatted about on this podcast is plywood. When we started, we were both struggling with
it's not GPT.
The birch. Yeah, it'll soon be GPT. But our plywood rep dropped off some new samples.
The birch problems.
New samples yesterday, day before, of maple ply, which apparently is US grown maple that's then being veneered and turned into plywood somewhere down South America somewhere. Not sure where. I'd like to find out which country.
Interesting.
Given some of the nonsense that's going on down there. But it seems like a really nice product. Thank you for correcting my grammar and adding a hyphen in there, Dr. Justin.
My Grammarly app was like, this is wrong. And I was like, okay, I'll change it.
Seems like a decent product. I haven't seen a full sheet of it yet, but sample sizes look quite beautiful. I really like the look of maple. It's got nice fine end grain like birch.
Yeah, it is.
And and it seems cheap. It seems too good to be true. Like it's cheaper than the Australian grown hoop pine at the moment. And
that's pretty weird. Yeah,
pretty weird,
maple veneer is always expensive here.
Interesting. Anyway, I'm a bit suspicious, but I want to find out more. And it's not like I want to go crawling back to internationally imported materials, but it'd be good to know what our options are. Find out some more info. Tonight.
It's interesting. I mean, I applaud your sticking with domestic products like that. I probably haven't done enough research. Like the only domestic, there's very few options. I feel like it's like we are a country of importing plywood. Like it's interesting to me that you found, I guess, just the veneer or whatever that is coming to you from that situation. But it's like from here to there. But I know of apple ply and it is double, if not triple the price usually. And it just like, I get customers, it has such brand saturation for some reason with most people that they'll ask for apple ply. I've said this a million times. They don't want that. They can't afford that. It's like, I want Kleenex, and then you go buy the store brand, like it's so much more expensive. It's a great product. It's just nobody wants to spend $250 on a sheet of plywood.
Yeah, when I saw it, it reminded me a bit of the Apple. Like, I've never seen Apple Pie in person, but I've heard you and some others talk about it. And I've looked it up. It
Oh, I
looks
can
a bit
send you
like
some.
that.
I'll cut up a sheet into little squares and send it to you.
Just into sawdust. Yeah, send me a bag of sawdust.
Yeah. Here's just the sawdust. Do something with it. That's cool. My one little excitement of the morning so far was scrolling Instagram, half awake, and there's a company called Langmuir Systems, and I think their first thing was like a metal cutting plasma cutter system.
Yeah.
And then they did a little mill, and now they have a little CNC press brake, and it starts at $4,000.
CNC.
And it's just a right.
Oh,
So
wow.
it's like somewhat not automated, but like, you can put in.
Yeah.
I don't fully understand, honestly. I know very little about press brakes, but
Cool.
we are now a business that buys a lot of metal parts, and you can get metal parts cut flat and sent to you very cheaply, very quickly. It's the pressing, the bending, and then the finishing that really jacks the price up, because then obviously it has to be shipped like that, and the shipping is more expensive too. All reasonable. Like, I'm not saying this isn't reasonable. I'm just, interested, even in a prototyping sense, of this tiny little machine that's got a 33-inch bend width, which is like any part we want to make right now, for $4,000 just seems like too good to be true to me.
Yeah.
But I don't know much about these machines.
Very cool.
Right.
It's like the hobby not hobby, like sort of middling grade CNC applied to a press brake.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. I'm sure it's very
Touchscreen.
like closer to a hobby machine than some of the $250,000 machines that the big companies have. But it's like, the things we're looking at doing, it's like I'll grab it. Like, this has turned into, like, we're going to make these little
Cute.
mag cleat shelves. We're just having some people test them for the tool holders. They magnetize the side of mills or anything magnetic, and then the base here is going to have gridfinity in it if you want. And then you'll be able to like sort stuff on your mill or store stuff. Kind of, it's basically an L-shaped piece of metal, but surprisingly fairly costly to make for a very simple small part. And I'm just looking at this machine like 4,000 divided by, how many parts I want to bend. It can't be that costly over the time, like a couple of years.
Yeah. Very cool. You'll have a laser cutter, a fiber laser in no time, and a press brake out the back.
Right. Oh my God. I've been watching the Laser Bro owner, I forget his name, set up his new laser cutter machine that he bought. Huge machine. And it's quite the process. I haven't followed too closely, but I've just been watching as he's been setting it up, and he's anxious to get it running. And I'm like, oh, I've been there. Want that machine to get going, but it looks like a cool old machine.
Yeah, awesome. I imagine, I mean, they're designed to just smash out huge volumes of parts, right? Those big production lasers.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would think so. I mean, I love watching them work. It's kind of like any, I have another version of CNC where it's just super fun to watch them move around and cut real fast.
Yeah. Having used a plasma cutter a lot, like 15 years ago, they just look so efficient and clean and delicious.
Right.
It was such a filthy machine to run, that plasma cutter. Man.
I want to know what some news means.
Yeah. Part of my motivation for building the little sauna outhouse that I've been thinking about making for ages. I finally ordered some cypress for that. I was at this like business convention summit thing recently, which was an interesting event. I'll put it that way. Like, I got a lot of value out of it, but also it was quite problematic in lots of ways. It was a bit of a sausage fest and a significant underrepresentation of female leadership or non-male leadership anyway. But we were, one of the keynote speakers was this guy called Travis, someone, the bucket list guy. Have you ever come across the bucket list guy? It's this Australian
Sounds familiar.
self-nominated guru who's made a career out of
those are my favorite.
Being the bucket list guy. Anyway, he gave us a 2-hour keynote talk, which, I was there in a just very receptive state. I was just like, cool, this is at a place that I don't like, and it's a room full of people who are some great people in the room. But anyway, as part of this keynote, he was sort of encouraging everybody to sort of do something about the stuff that you've been thinking about but not doing, bucket lists crap. Yeah, and I was like, I've been thinking about building this barrel sauna for probably a year now and haven't done anything about it. So I finally, in the session, I emailed and ordered the cypress. So I've got some, I can't remember what they call it, wind fallen or storm fallen, salvaged cypress coming. It's really cheap per linear meter. I have no idea what condition it's going to be, what quality it's going to be like, but the plan is to build this little barrel sauna outhouse at home, which will kind of double as a separate room. We don't really have a home office at all. So I'm wondering whether I can sort of...
Right. For the other Americans, I need you to clarify, outhouse, is that a bathroom?
No, is that what you call it?
Because that's all I know it as.
Yeah, I could be misusing
it's not a common thing anymore, but before indoor plumbing,
Gotcha.
That's what they called it.
No, I'm just picturing a little...
Not a bathroom.
Not a bathroom.
Okay.
Not a bathroom. a little external room to the house, which can be a sauna or a little cubby to sleep in, or somewhere to go and sit and get some quiet time. Yeah. So I don't know when the timber's coming.
Cool.
I'm hoping it comes before Christmas so I can have a bit of a summer project, but we'll see.
A kit of parts testing grounds, you mean?
Maybe.
Kit of sauna.
Yeah.
So one would say you ticked it before you kicked it.
That's what Trav would say.
As Travs would say, you tick it before you kicked it.
Yeah.
Hashtag, sorry.
Hashtag, yes. Correct. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. In other news, we are slowly getting ready to hire again. We need a designer, detailer, fusion master, rhino master. And it's been a weird role to try and sort of wrap our head around, because don't know why. Maybe we're making it too hard for ourselves, but we're not. Feels like the business is in a bit of a transition away from kind of make and design absolutely anything, which is Fusion's fantastic at doing, to being more product focused, or the custom work that we do is, again, pretty product focused. It's really just custom versions of the same products. So there's potentially in the future, there's less need for someone who can kind of design and detail any random project that comes across their desk, and someone who's a bit more sort of got those sort of product dev skills. Or potentially just less need for the role in general as we refine that. Get a configurator that can do some of those basic customizations, and customers can start ordering without us having to design stuff every time. Anyway, so it's been an interesting role to try and work out what we actually want. But my takeaway the other day when I was thinking about it was I want someone who's better than me. I want someone who's an absolute gun at this stuff. Because that's the most successful hires are when you find people who are better than us, right? At doing a certain thing.
I think I told you that same feeling I had with our short-lived operations person. They were just I mean, I think they were talented in other ways, but I'm going to say that there was a huge virtue to them being like 15 years younger than I was, which is just a weird feeling for me. Like, I still feel like everybody says this. It's like, I feel like the young guy, definitely not the young guy anymore. And like, just the speed at which they were capable of doing certain things with a computer or finding things or synthesizing, like brain was still in the optimal state, you know? And I'm not to say that somebody that's not younger couldn't be this way, but it was just like a really big eye opener to me of like, oh, yeah, I'm not the young whippersnapper that knows all the tricks anymore of like these things. And it was very appealing.
Yeah. So I don't have answers on that yet. We're still sort of working on the PD. But as one of the things that led me to this sort of train of thought about I want someone sort of a bit more senior or skillful or experienced was with this Sydney trip where we drove up and installed this set of shelves.
Yeah.
As I said last week, I took my friend Tom with me. And he's never formally trained in industrial design, but he's one of the best. I always say, like, he's one of the best industrial designers I know. Like, he's just got this incredible brain for it. He's incredibly skillful in Rhino. I think he learned Vectorworks first and then got up to speed on Rhino, and he's just got that product design brain. Anyway, we installed this job together. We had a lot of time in the car just talking through design stuff, all sorts of things. Anyway, it tickled his brain a bit, I think. And so a week after we got back, he sent me this Rhino file of some ideas that he'd had about just part of the kit apart, just a small one component of the kit apart system. And he sent me this Rhino file of some of the things he'd been thinking about since our trip. And I was just really struck at like just the quality of the thinking that he'd put into it and just the quality of the drawings themselves and how sort of neat and organized and they were. And I had this moment of like, oh, this is an example of something that's better than I can do. Like, this is someone who's better at this than me. And this I'm not trying to claim anything here, but like, it's not very common to have that experience. Which sounds
I know what you mean. I feel that way too.
But like, we're kind of so deep down these like trajectories of our experience or career or whatever. Like, it's not very common to sort of have someone, I find, have something put in front of you that's like, oh shit, that's awesome. Like, I couldn't do that. And if I could, like, it'd be a struggle. And so that was kind of the moment I was like, oh, actually, yeah, I want someone who's shit hot in this role, like someone who can do this really well. So
right,
we shall see how that evolves. But yeah.
That's cool. Oh, I guess that's a good place to put it. I think we'll post our year in review / thoughts about next year, whether it's like plans or goals or something till next time. But we'd love to get your thoughts on this. And I made a little Airtable form where you can submit your thoughts in text, audio, or video, and we will play them and discuss. And I think it'd just be a fun little thing where we can all contribute. We've had a few already. I've been posting on Instagram, but just look in the description here and there's a little form for it. Hope to get a few more pieces of input from you all that listen. If you have like some thoughts about your upcoming year, things you didn't like about this year, or questions or whatever.
That'd be awesome. Yeah. That's the coffee grinder because we're recording a little bit later. You're getting the background. The background of people.
I've never heard it before. It sounds like a bandsaw.
That's a really noisy, probably like 60-year-old Gaggia grinder with worn out burrs that I really should replace. Takes way too long to grind one batch of coffee. Yeah, and I'm really keen to do that year in review video, and I've been so slack on Instagram lately that I have not shared those posts that you've been doing. So apologies. I'll get on that.
It's all right.
Drum up some entries this week. And, I'm keen to do it. Let's do it. Next recording, maybe. That'd be nice.
It'll be good for me too to think about what the hell I've been trying to come up with. I don't know if you think about this too, something I want to talk about next when we actually do this, but we started into the product stuff with a couple kind of sure products I knew were going to be decent. I didn't know how much they would take on, their own thing with a dust boot and like pedestals, and they were kind of the low-hanging fruit of machine upgrades. But now, looking into a whole year and trying to be intentional about not being in the middle of finishing the pedestals like I was last year and not having the foresight to really move forward. It's like, all right, well, what is the next thing that's gonna, what do we want to be? What do we want to be known for? Is it just kind of this weird collection of things that we keep coming up with? Trying to think through that process myself a little bit right now.
Yeah, it's a good thing to do. Tell you what I recommend. I'll tell you what I'm doing at the moment to help me with that stuff. I'm making a PowerPoint presentation of a...
It's not bad. I like that.
I've always hated PowerPoint. There's something about it that just
me too.
Entertains me when I have to make one or choose to make one, as is this in this case. So I'm making a
slide deck.
Year in review slide deck. And I'm intentionally making it as ugly as I can in PowerPoint. And how many fonts can I use in one?
More like a shit deck.
It'd be very triggering for certain people. But I'm doing like a year in review and sort of what's upcoming. Like, trying to think, what did we do this year? What did we change? What did we do well? What do we struggle with? And what moving forward, what are our focuses? And it's been good. Like, something about that process of just like, new slide. Oh, yeah, that. Quick, just chuck a photo on that, chuck a heading on that, and then move on, and then come back and review. Like, cool, I fleshed that idea out, or delete that slide. That's not relevant anymore. Just like, it's been, I don't know. I've just been chipping away at it here and there over the last few days. And it's been a nice process to kind of ponder on and chuck some things together. And it's kind of, I don't know, it's just really low stakes because I am making kind of shit deliberately. It's something, but also kind of being forced to sort of think about it and reflect. It's been good. So make a PowerPoint.
You're like, hey, Clippy, make this look as corporate shitty as possible.
Well, Clippy's got AI baked into it now, so it comes up with suggestions to design ideas for your slide, which is pretty entertaining.
You can ask it to be bad, though. Please make this look terrible. Oh, I guess if we're getting into that.
What's new in Software Corner?
Oh, yeah.
I made a little ROI calculator that's been in the back of my mind for about a year now, and it's pretty ugly still, but finally got it working. I put a little link to that. It's on the first attempt was on the Dust Boot page, just to give kind of a vague idea of.
Huh?
I mean, you could extrapolate it to be kind of dramatic. I kind of preset the numbers to be, I think, impressive, but realistic, and you can adjust kind of inputs to see what your kind of cost savings should be and make it as realistic or unrealistic as you'd like. And there's really no hiding anything. It took quite a while to get it to work right.
It tells me numbers for and it told me the ROI was 7 days. So that's pretty attractive. Awesome.
I hope it doesn't come off as unrealistic. I try to make it realistic, but
no, I think it's cool.
It's really just looking at like a cost savings or a time savings. So I think it might help people. It's been in the back of my head of like, it's hard to put numbers to it in your own head, but now having used it for 18 months, it's a pretty obvious change of, especially on our machine, maybe yours too, just the amount it changed, how little we have to clean afterwards. And so trying to make that into numbers for people, especially business owners. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No, that's cool. No, nice idea. Did you script that?
I gotta make it look a little better. It's pretty ugly.
It's good. It's good.
What was that?
It's good. Ugly's good. Did you script that up yourself?
No, sorry if I didn't make that. Didn't say it well, but I used GPT
Yeah.
going back and forth a million times trying to get it to do stuff right. But honestly, that's easier half the time than like trying to Google how to do it yourself. So,
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Awesome. Very cool. I don't think I've got much to report in Software Corner, really. GPT land. I'm still continuing to use it heavily as a journaling transcription tool, but also good. Just I've been plugging my journal rants in to just get quick summaries out of it as well. And just, I don't know, I just find it so useful for my brain. Like yesterday, I was like, oh, I have to prepare for this talk that I'm doing tonight, this film screening talk. And I just walked out into the car park with my headphones in, and I just opened up the transcription thing in the GPT app and was just like, cool. And just chatted through. I was like, cool, I've got this talk tomorrow night. I've got 6 minutes. And I want to talk about this, and I want to talk about that. And I want to present this idea, and blah, blah. And I talked to it for like 6 minutes. And it was like, and then just hit go. And it was like, just that. Again, then getting that feedback, and like it just sort of goes, cool, all right. Based on what you've told me, I think you should open with this, talk about this in that way, and blah, blah, blah. And it just sort of gave me a quick summary, and just that feedback I find so infinitely useful.
Right.
Yeah. Simple things, but very
effective. I sometimes get concerned that it may disappear or be offline, and I'll be in withdrawal.
The offline stuff's getting really good, I have to say. Download stuff while you can.
I haven't tried it. Yeah.
Don't want to sound like
a
tinfoil hat, but I just use that GPT for all app, and every 3 months or so I remember that it exists, because it's not, it's nowhere near as good as the GPTs, but every now and then I remember, and I'm like, oh, I should download the most recent best models in the open source world. And so like Minstrel is really impressive. So just like Minstrel instruct 7 billion parameter, blah, blah. It's really fast now. Like it's 6 months ago when I first started playing with open source models, they were so slow. It was like a token per second or something in terms of their response time. Whereas now it's much more like the experience of using ChatGPT, where you can just like plug in stuff and get a quick response. And the quality's not there, but it's getting infinitely better. So if you do have concerns about it all disappearing overnight, I would recommend just downloading some of those weights, so you've got them.
Yeah, I don't think about it
them away somewhere
too often, but like, yeah, I listen to the Vergecast from the website TheVerge.com, and it's just a technology thing, and I've listened to it for a decade now. It's just interesting tech news, and I think it's the CEO, the head dude of The Verge, Nilay, is a lawyer and also a journalist, and he has been saying for a while that he's surprised that there haven't been some more massive lawsuits coming out and moving forward based on how much like GPT, OpenAI has just used content around the internet, without license, kind of like Google, has in the past, and that should get tried pretty likely. So,
yeah.
America.
Yep. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. But meanwhile, our therapists are online and ready for a chat. Call now.
Call now to discuss your fears and insecurities with an AI bot of your choice. It's totally safe.
Cool, man.
Synthesize this chat into a small tweet.
Well, I'm going to go get ready for the day. Leave you.
Right. I'll figure out something to do here.
Please, dear listeners, send us your ideas for the end of year wrap up. thank you to all our Patreon supporters for hanging in there and helping this show exist. Appreciate it. We appreciate you and your patience.
Yeah.
So yeah,
There's
thanks to everybody.
There'll be one out this month. It's almost done being edited.
There will. Yeah. New episode show about to come out. And yeah. I'll hold over all my ranty notes for next time or next year. I'll just calm down and find some solutions.
Right.
Okay.
See you, man.
Goodbye. Thanks. See ya.
Bye. I just forget we can just click this now.